Hello, everyone. We're going to give it some time for others to hop in, and we'll begin once we have a sizable audience. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the ads privacy session today. The objective of this session today is to prepare you well in advance as we move into a more privacy centric world in the ad side of things. I am Siddharth. Feel free to call me Sid. I'm currently a product lead working on ads privacy, and I will be taking you through the session today. Now, as you would be aware, many global privacy regulators like GDPR or the LGBT, etc., they tend to have a very profound impact as they kind of dictate the rules and standards that advertisers will need to adhere to when sort of engaging with consumers online. Now, this includes things like collecting user consent, robust data protection measures, etc. And to that end, Google is working to completely phase out third-party cookies by end of year as well. And we want to raise awareness on some of the various solutions that we have in place to make sure that you are also prepared to deal with this entire change in a very smooth manner. Now, a quick overview of what exactly we will be covering today. We'll cover the importance of first party data, then we'll move into the aspects of how you can measure it with Google Tags. Then we'll move into the more practical aspects of how you can put that measurement into practice. That will be via consent mode, via enhanced conversions, or via customer match. So this is just a quick summary of the of the broad areas that we will be looking into today. As I mentioned, we are very excited to talk to you about these important topics. I hope you'll find this guidance informative and helpful. All right, so let's begin at the beginning with the first party data itself. I do believe that most of you would be quite familiar with this overall, the whole thing about first party data, but it definitely helps to set some context into what is the rest of the topics that we are heading into. So, over the years, we have seen a lot of changes that were hitting the more traditional approach towards user tracking, as you would call it, like cookies, for example, which were due to technological changes, regulations in every single region. And all of these things are experiencing a sort of rapid expansion of introduction of different laws. And the point is that all of these laws tend to have user privacy at its core. These regulations are impacting literally every region around the globe today. And we expect that by 2024, which is this year, around 75% of the global population will have its personal data covered under modern privacy regulations. So, in this context, under all these laws, while in different countries and regions, they mostly consist of some core similar parameters, such as user transparency controls, consent protection of sensitive groups like kids, teens, healthcare related data, topics, data minimization, data location, transfers. So, Overall, it's very critical to understand how these changes can impact your business and what you should do in order to maintain your performance online. Now, as I mentioned, all of these changes go as these changes go, the industry becomes more and more aware of the first party data, and more advertisers start using first party data. We have data to prove that yes, it does show positive impact on campaign performance and overall online performance. Now, in the realm of business, the distinction between first party and third party data primarily lies in data ownership. First party data is exclusively owned by the marketer and is gathered online and possibly offline as well based on customer activities. This includes things like marketing efforts, emailers, other ways to collect data as well. But in contrast, third party data is typically owned by external companies who possess the licenses and rights to do so. So the ownership kind of becomes like the defining criteria between both of these things. And as the digital landscape evolves, there is a growing shift towards prioritizing first party data. This also underscores the significance of adopting a strategy that emphasizes first party data collection and utilization. Site wide tagging across all of these things kind of forms the foundational bedrock of all the different solutions that you can put in place. And it's also like a prerequisite for GA4. Not just GA4, it's a prerequisite for GA4, for consent mode, for enhanced conversions, offline conversion report, everything else out there. I'll just take you a brief through how exactly this thing works. To start with, a user interacts with your business. For example, maybe an ad view or an ad click or something. In this case, the Google tag plays the foundational role of sorts. Tagging your website with the Google tag allows you to capture this first party data and connect website activity to your Google Ads campaigns. This tagging foundation that I mentioned, based on the first party data, is critical to unlock the conversion modeling and all other measurement solutions that we have today and in the future as well. Then we move into the part about consent mode, which is highly recommended for data protection with all the laws coming about. In regions with the strong data protection laws, implementing this is obviously a best practice as it enables the Google tag to communicate with and respect a user's consent decision of how their data can be used for measurement and personalization. I'm sure you've all come across this when you have a site wide banner that asks, hey, do you want to accept all cookies, reject all cookies, and whatever you want to do there. Now, with consent mode, you're also able to enable the conversion modeling to recover conversions not measured due to some user consent choices. Then you move on to enhanced conversions, which is where the Google tag can not only connect your website activity to Google Ads when first party cookies are present, but let's say an ad engagement happens, say, cross device or is a view based conversion. It's difficult in that case to connect that to a website conversion using just the tag alone. It oftentimes cannot also connect, let's say it happens beyond a certain time limit, let's say after 24 hours after the ad interaction. It's difficult to attribute some of those things. But with enhanced conversions, that allows the Google tag to capture this first party data using unique customer identifiers so that a conversion can be connected to a Google ad connection, to a Google ad interaction when cookies are not present. We'll discuss both the details about enhanced conversions for web and enhanced conversions for lead as we go ahead. Then finally, we have customer match, which uses the same consented customer data to reach and re-engage with existing customers when, for example, remarketing is not available, let's say due to a third-party cookie deprecation. You can use this to build new audience and start connecting to them as well. Now, this entire plethora of solutions here will help you to build a durable measurement and first-party data foundation. This is also powered by AI campaign solutions to help fill all your targeting, your bidding, your accurate attribution end-to-end with your customers at the end of the day, which obviously will lead to improved campaign optimization based on all the high-quality data that we have here. Cool. As I mentioned earlier, let's first take a look at the foundations of everything, the Google tag, and why it becomes indispensable post the third-party cookie deprecation that is coming up early next year. Those of you who have been in the industry long enough will know how we have come a long way from the analytics.js to JTag and how we currently have Google Tag, which is the first-party data measurement solution. Cool. When considering revenue generation as a marketer, for any digital company or business, it's crucial to measure conversions, obviously, and ensure that all your campaigns are profitable. And that goes without saying that without the right data, it's impossible to achieve this. That's why to have the right data, the right measurement solution is essential, and that is where tagging comes in. It's vital in today's world where attribution and all the smart marketing strategies that cannot take place without any sort of data. You cannot take any sort of informed decisions without having the right data in place. So this forms a great starting point for us. We encourage everyone here to consider investing in durable and privacy-centric tagging solutions, such as our latest Google tag. It's a future-proof measurement solution that sets cookies within your site's domain, also known as first-party cookies. Beyond the third-party cookies, you must ensure that you have this measurement within your domain, especially important if you engage in things like email marketing or avoid sending data through third-party cookies. Instead, it's best recommended to send those cookies within your own domain. Implementing this entire Google tag is easy, and it comes with its own unique set of benefits. Like as mentioned around here, it unlocks the usage of Privacy Sandbox, which, if you know, it's an initiative on how we envision measurement looking beyond just third party cookies by creating, let's say, APIs that strike the right balance between keeping user privacy safe online and by reducing any sort of cross site or cross app tracking as well, yet still having advertisers show the right ads to the right people. Browser technologies are obviously evolving on a day to day basis to meet the need. So, as long as your tag is set up properly, leave it to us and we'll handle the rest using our Google tag. That's the first part. Obviously, going to the second part, it leverages the power of Google's industry-leading AI models to deliver the most representative view of all your conversions, enabling that the highest quality optimization and most accurate measurement can take place. And last but not least, since this is all built on the back of first party data, it is future proof to any sort of privacy regulations that might come up, which typically tend to affect a non consented third party data. But first party data is usually expected to easily go through without any sort of hitch. Implementing this solution is very, very straightforward actually, with all the multiple options that are available. You can directly add the tag to your website or use Google Tag Manager. If you're a small business with a limited number of tags on your website, you can easily implement Google Tag directly. However, if you have multiple tags, let's say like a big business, or even if you have tags from other websites such as, let's say, Facebook or Instagram also, Google Analytics, then you can consider using Google Tag Manager to consolidate all your tagging in one place. The website option is relatively easy to implement, while the Google Tag Manager route may require some developer resources or technical knowledge. And regarding future durability, Google Tag implementation on your website allows for future features such as like tag conversion configuration directly from the Google Ads. You can directly connect it with it, or let's say the GMP product UI. You can directly connect with them as well to adapt to any sort of ecosystem changes and have a seamless flow between all the platforms. If you're using Google Tag Manager, the platform will continue to support the latest privacy centric measurement solutions, such as advanced conversions and simplified deployment through front end features. Using Google Tag Manager will provide you more futuristic options for managing all your tags. Sorry. We have noticed advertisers face concerns when implementing some of these tags. Of course, there can be multiple concerns out there. What we have tried to list out here are some of the more common ones that you usually face. Of course, feel free to refer to our comprehensive help pages that are available online to get more of an idea if you have some unique use case, or feel free to reach out to us as well. But here are some of the more common ones. One of the more common ones we hear is about the tag not being implemented across the entire site. We have a tag coverage summary that can definitely help you with this regard by flagging areas where you have not covered it with a Google tag, which could potentially leave out some attribution in the future. Auto tagging is a required feature to help check how effectively your ad clicks lead to valuable customer activity. So we highly recommend you turn it on in your Google Ads account and test all your ad click URLs. Remember, you should always remove your legacy floodlight tags, which traditionally rely on third-party cookies, so that way at least you'll avoid any sort of double counting between the third-party cookies and the first-party cookies as well. And definitely make sure that your conversion pages need to be on the same domain as the landing page of the ads, or else you'll need to implement like cross domain tracking in order to maintain the measurement across like multiple domains in your conversion path. You'll need to configure your domains to have that sort of a cross domain measurement. Cool. This is more of just a view of how things would look like when you're across all your tagging needs. Remember, the user funnel, the user conversion journey goes through multiple different aspects. What we have tried to outline here is what are all the steps in play. For example, when the user clicks on an ad, what sort of tag gets pushed out? Is it the campaign tracking URL? When user lands on the landing page, how, what kind of a test you should perform on it? Again, this is very, very implementation heavy. We will be sharing this deck with you later on, so definitely feel free to take a look at some of these details as you move through with them. Now, I want to get a little bit more into the practical aspects of things. You have an idea, I believe you definitely have a good idea of how important all these first party tags are. But of course, putting this into practice across web pages can be a chore. So that's where we heard you, and we want to focus a little bit deeper on the practical way of implementing this thing. When you want to see all your untagged pages, you can definitely do it through this tag coverage report. It helps make this entire transition very smooth and helps you monitor your progress as well. So what this tag coverage report, this tool does, is it basically allows you to see exactly which pages on your website have tags installed. So you can quickly identify any sort of gaps and take action to ensure comprehensive tracking. Now, accessing this report is like very, very simple within your Google Ads or your Google Analytics account as well. Navigate to the admin section and look for tag coverage under the tools tab. If you're using Google Tag Manager, you can definitely find it within the admin section as well. By regularly checking this report and addressing any sort of untagged pages out there, you can be confident that hey, you're capturing the most accurate data for all your campaigns because your tags are fine, because the tags are present in the right locations, and you definitely need to make sure that your tags are firing correctly as well. Cool. Like I mentioned, that's just one of the things to help you ensure that your Google tags are implemented and firing correctly. We want to highlight another powerful tool, which is called as Tag Assistant, a free Chrome extension which kind of acts like a real-time checkup for all your website tags. What it kind of does is it quickly identifies errors, suggests any fixes, and confirms that hey, your tags are firing correctly at the right location and upon the right action. So, like I mentioned, it helps with things like error detection, in which you can help catch issues like missing or duplicate tags as well, or any sort of incorrect trigger conditions, data mismatches of any sort. It can help with easy troubleshooting, as it is kind of like a wizard sort of a guide that guides you through all the potential fixes, saving you time and frustration. It helps ensure some data accuracy within your Google Ads and your Google Analytics data by reflecting the right user interactions on your website. And it obviously helps with delivering better, improved insights so that you can make data driven decisions to optimize all your campaigns. Using this is absolutely simple. Is you simply need to install the extension from the Chrome Web Store and navigate to it using your website. And by regularly tagging these, testing your tags with the tag assistant, you will ensure your data quality and gain clearer insights into your campaign performance. All right, now let's shift gears into the next key aspect of the session today, which is consent mode. Now, the role to introduce this topic, the role of consent mode in the entire architecture stack of privacy is to help ensure that we respect user consent choices. And specifically, when consent is not available, what else can we use? Maybe AI modeling to help fill in the gaps in such cases. You would have, like I mentioned before, you would have started encountering this across many websites by now, where they ask you for consent to allow and process first party cookie info. To ensure that you capture user consent choices, you will need to have a mechanism or a system in place. We usually recommend using a consent management platform, also known as a CMP, which is a third party solution. However, you are free to use an in house first party solution as well. The second key step to ensure that you have a consent aware banner. This banner, like I mentioned before, should understand and record the user's consent choice, whether they have accepted it or denied consent to any sort of marketing or analytics cookies. In the third step, you can set up consent mode either by using the CMP settings, the content management platform settings, which are integrated within their own solutions, or you can hard code it into the website itself if you're using a third party or an in house solution. Both choices are open to you. Once you've completed all these steps, you can verify if the implementation is working properly, like I mentioned before, by leveraging the Google Ads UI. It will show you the current status of your consent mode. So definitely make sure that you do not miss out this key aspect. A quick detour into how consent mode itself works. Let's illustrate it by working with a real life example. So, for example, when a user lands on a website or an app, they are typically presented with a consent banner, which they can accept, deny, or make a custom choice. If they accept the available options and provide their consent, tags will fire normally. Consent mode will help annotate the data that Google is receiving with an affirmative consent signal, like, hey, this is checked off by the user. In this case, everything works as usual, and all regular measurement and personalization use cases will remain intact. Sorry. However, if the user rejects the consent choice, then the tags do not fire at all, and measurement and personalization use cases tend to get disabled. This is where consent mode truly shines because it helps Google Tags understand that explicit user consent is not available, and it needs to use AI powered conversion modeling to help and fill in the gaps and accurately estimate the conversions, even when explicit customer user consent is not available. This will help ensure that businesses can still measure the effectiveness of their marketing campaigns and personalize the user experience without compromising on the final privacy of their users. Google offers like a plethora of options to integrate consent mode based on the correct use case. For online measurement, depending on the buying platform you have, consent mode can integrate with Floodlight, with Google Ads tags, or the Google Analytics for Firebase as well. We usually recommend, like I mentioned before, using a CMP partner solution, but feel free to use an in-house solution as well to implement the consent mode. If you're using Floodlight tags like a legacy, which is the legacy tag, you can use the transparency and consent framework or Campaign Manager 360's LTD parameter to ensure that the consent signals are passed through correctly. For app advertisers, if you're using an app attribution partner, the recommended solution is to use an app based consent solution to pass these consent signals as well. And for offline measurement, which is another key aspect, you can use the respective product's API for passing these consent signals. If you're doing like direct uploads, which is usually the case, you can specify or annotate the end user consent directly in the file that you are going to upload at the end of the day. Now, in cases where personalization is necessary and you are effectively targeting the audiences, we offer similar solutions and depending on online and offline targeting. For online targeting, for example, you can implement consent mode and integrate it with Floodlight, Google Tags, everyone. Just a quick side note there, if you have significant traffic coming in from the European economic area, you now have two new parameters in addition to the traditional ad storage and analytics storage that you have, which is, I believe they're called as ad user data and ad personalization. These parameters are available with consent mode V2, and we recommend that you consider you configure the V2 so that these additional parameters are passed on to Google. For measurement use cases, if you have a legacy Floodlight tag, you can use non-personalized ads parameters to specify if you have an end user consent for this personalization. For offline audience tracking, depending on the product or the platform you're trying to use, you can use the respective product specific APIs to pass your consent signals. If you're doing direct uploads via the UI directly itself, like let's say you're uploading a CSV or something, for example, you now have something present in the UI itself in terms of service attestation opt-in option. You can specify that the batch of data you're uploading has explicit end user consent for that specific use case. Okay, it's crucial to remember that if you're utilizing customer data for customer match, which we'll talk about later as well, you can upload customer information gathered in the first party context. We'll understand more about this later, as I mentioned in the session itself, but it's essential to ensure that your privacy policy actively discloses that you are collecting customer data for providing these services via solution providers. So definitely let the customer, the user to your, the viewer to your website know that, hey, this is what you are doing, and obtain legally required consent wherever necessary. We strongly recommend using only Google's approved APIs or interfaces for uploading this customer data. So please make sure you adhere to all the applicable laws, regulations, and industry codes and standards, including any self-regulatory standards that you have in your industry to ensure this compliance. Okay, we'll move a little bit into the more practical and get our hands dirty here. A quick couple of points for app advertisers. If you're implementing consent mode for apps, then we again provide a couple of different options for you to go about setting the default consent settings. and provisions for going about updating how your analytics storage parameters are set. So you have the Android manifest.xml file and the info list file, where you can go ahead and specify these parameters. If you want to disable consent and have the set consent method instead, you can do that without actually going about updating the current parameters for content. So that's available on the next slide, where we'll talk a little bit about that one. Again, you can use the set consent method. Using this particular method, you can go about ensuring that both your analytics and your ad storage values are configured, but also this tends to persist across app executions. The other bit is that this also overrides any sort of default settings that you might have configured as shown in the previous slide. Again, like, important point to note over here is that once you're calling the consent method for, let's say, ad storage, that does not invariably mean that the analytic storage state will be affected, and also vice versa. So these are a couple of pointers that will really help you along your way when you are using consent mode and configuring it according to the specific use case that you have for your business. And I think that was it. I'm hoping that this overview has given you a decent understanding of how to go about using consent mode for your product. Let's move into the next aspect of the day, about enhanced conversions. We have discussed the topic of departure of third party cookies. So, from a conversion perspective, this signifies a significant decline in the connection between observable ad interaction and a conversion that takes place at the end of the day. Thus, implementing enhanced conversions is crucial. These conversions are designed to bridge this measurement gap by leveraging first party data facilitated by the conversion, and then adding AI on top to make sure we are able to model that gap out there. Let's begin by examining the broader picture of how enhanced conversion contributes to revenue generation and growth through modeling. On the left side of this picture, we have various data sources from which the customer captures and uploads conversions along with their corresponding values, etc. Without enhanced conversions, post the third party cookie deprecation, it will make it very, very challenging to understand like which ad interactions should be attributed to which conversions. It can lead to double counting or missing out conversions or gaps, which obviously affects optimization down the road. However, with enhanced conversions, it employs conversion modeling with an AI based machine learning to establish connections between the ad interactions and conversions using first party data. This will lead to more precise measurement automation and ultimately optimization, which leads to significant revenue growth for you. Sorry. Improved conversions can be divided into two main categories. There's enhanced conversions for web, which are designed for online conversions, and there's enhanced conversions for leads, which is geared towards more of offline conversions. In the first case, enhanced conversions for web, this usually involves a couple of steps, like a user signs into Google and interacts with the advertiser's ads. Then the user makes a conversion on the advertiser's website. The conversion tag at this point will capture the user's first party data, such as any email address or phone number with consent, of course. The data is hashed unless the advertiser has already hashed it, which is then securely sent to Google. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about the hashing part later on. And Google will then match this hash user data against its own signed in user data. Once a match is found between the two of these, Google is going to report the conversions. Now, this, like I mentioned, this entire process that takes place, it is most beneficial for advertisers who tend to run search or YouTube campaigns on Google Ads or search on the Ads 360. And this usually helps when you have a conversion tracking tag in place via, let's say, Google Tag Manager. Analysis of these performance metrics will indicate that advertisers who use these enhanced conversions typically see an average conversion lift of around 5% on search, but a massive lift of 70% on YouTube. Sorry. Now, enhanced conversions for leads, which, like I mentioned, is more geared towards the measurement of offline or otherwise untraceable conversion events, up to around 63 days. It technically tends to record these events even up to 63 days after the click has happened. This will allow customers to import these events directly into Google Ads or the Google Marketing Platform, providing a more granular understanding of how online clicks will drive offline actions. With improved reporting visibility and insights, the advertisers can distinguish between clicks and conversions that lead to high quality leads versus low quality leads, for example. Now, similar to enhanced conversions for web, Enhanced conversion for leads will utilize the first party data. However, for offline conversions, which is a key aspect here, instead of directly importing the data into Google Ads, the advertiser will be importing the first party data itself. This concept allows for better smart bidding optimization. This section kind of explains the differences that we just talked about, but in much more detailed manner. Like I mentioned, it's fairly the same things. The for I'm just going to call it EC for web because it's easier. In EC for web, the required conversion type is online website conversions. On the other hand, for leads, it requires the offline conversion data type and aims to improve the offline transaction measurement originating from, let's say, your own leads or visitor levels. Importantly, one thing to note is that enhanced conversion for leads do not require customers to set up or modify a separate CRM system to retrieve and store the GCLID. Lastly, the standard offline conversion import has the same conversion type as offline conversion data. However, the standard offline conversion does not require customers to capture any sort of hashed first party customer data as we have on the website of things. Instead, they simply need you to modify or set up your CRM to store that GCL ID and upload that back into Google Ads. If you don't have a separate CRM system, this process can be a bit time consuming, but it's possible. Now, as we have extensively discussed first party data, I believe a lot of data security concerns may arise because obviously this is user data that is, even though it's being provided by consent, obviously security measures need to be put in place to ensure that my data is not being tracked by someone I don't want them to be tracking. It is crucial to comprehend the fundamental mechanism behind by which Google securely processes all this data. Now, I think I stated during the Google tag capturing of first party data itself that the system automatically formats and hashes the data of the customer unless the customer has already hashed it by themselves by some manner. It is important to note that all of this hashing and all this work is done before any data is sent to Google. Google does not get any of the plain text sort of data. Everything is already hashed and encrypted before it comes to us. We employ, when I say hashing, it's a one-way hashing technique, which is an irreversible hashing mechanism. It can go from A to B. You cannot go back from B to A in this case. So more importantly, no unencrypted data is ever exchanged with Google in any sort of raw format. This hash data that is shared cannot be accessed through a Google interface or by no other Google employees or customers even. So this hash data does not another thing to mention is that any hash data that does not match Google's data is deleted. So we do not keep it for any sort of processing later. So the chances of it getting like leaked into the world in some manner are also negligible at this point. Now, moving forward, we must continue to invest in a variety of technologies and diversify our approach. There will be probably no singular solutions that can completely replace cookies in the future. Which is why our reliance on modeling this data will increase. In the past, we could obviously automatically model a majority of lost conversions, but in the future, we will need more signals to improve our modeling accuracy. We'll discuss this in greater detail as we move into the following sections. But lastly, we anticipate that the ecosystem will also continue to evolve and change. So we must obviously be prepared to adapt and adopt any sort of new technologies out there. When it comes to techniques for enhanced conversions, there are three primary prerequisites to ensure successful implementation. The customer's website, first off, must be tagged through Google Tag Manager or Google Tag, whichever which suits you both, with auto tagging enabled in the customer's Google Ads account. Secondly, the customer must use Google Ads or GA4 or SA360 as their main conversion source. And finally, enhanced conversions tend to involve leveraging and augmenting first-party data. So it is crucial that the customer data is available on the customer's webpage. This basically works for like deep conversion types, for example, sign-up pages or purchases where the customer data is required. There are three main implementation types available for enhanced conversions for the web. We'll start off with the automatic tag base. This allows the system to automatically recognize, fetch, and use the first party data on the customer's web page for enhanced conversions. The second option is a manual CSS or code base upload where the customer manually decides which user data can be captured and sent to Google with hashing. And finally, there's the API calls, which is I believe is the most time consuming sort of implementation, but it's crucial to analyze which of these three methods best suits the customer's intent and your tagging infrastructure as well before you actually decide to move forward with it. Regarding enhanced conversions for leads, we offer various implementation and data import options as well. First off is the most simple, the file uploads, which allow for importing or uploading a CSV, Excel, or a Google Sheets file as well directly into Google Ads through the user interface. In terms of setup, this method is considered kind of, I guess, medium, but it's fairly easy as well. Automation would probably be the more easier method at this point than this. You can set up scheduled uploads for which you must link a file over HTTPS or SFTP, making the automation to work. Alternatively, we also offer direct CRM integration, where conversion uploads tend to happen automatically through direct integrations. Multiple platforms like what have you, Salesforce, HubSpot, Zendesk are compatible with us. This method ranks very, very high for both setup ease and automation. So it's definitely our most recommended import type. With, and lastly, we have direct API integration, where conversion uploads happen automatically via the Google Ads API. This setup, it's very easy to set up itself, and the automation is very, very high, assuming the customer is familiar with the overall process of the of the API setup itself. Now, it's crucial to assess your enhanced conversions ability to make any notable impact on your overall performance from start to the finish, beginning with the simple ability to recover conversion losses caused by browser regulatory changes such as the third-party cookie deprecation. Enhanced conversions provides a positive impact. Additionally, it also enables observation of new conversions stemming from additional first-party data, which obviously leads to enhanced observability from augmented first-party data. Ultimately, this leads to significant performance improvements such as better CPAs, better CVRs, and higher statistical significance in knowing and attributing your incremental conversions to any particular campaign out there. All right, I think we've covered around three of the four key aspects that we have. Let's move on to the final chapter of the day, which is customer match. Customer match is a very, very essential tool that is powered by first party data, which empowers advertisers in achieving their marketing objectives. What it basically does is leverage your first party data to identify and expand upon it to target individuals who have shown interest in your website. Now, by matching this data with other Google users, we can retarget existing customers. You can this, like I mentioned, this enables you to acquire new customers as well and deliver targeted and tailored messaging to each segment, which obviously is better for enhancing your marketing campaigns. Now, the activation of customer match is usually broken up into four distinct steps. There's ingestion, matching, optimization, and expansion. First step, ingesting the customer match data involves transferring your segment. My apologies. Involves transferring your segment or customer data into Google as your first party data. Next, Google matches this data against its user data, enabling you to utilize it to reach various audiences across multiple devices and channels. Finally, there's the expansion stage, where it allows you to enhance and expand upon your known audiences into unknown yet similar customers, providing you with more opportunities to engage with potential targets in the market. Customer match can be available across multiple different domains, the search, shopping, Gmail, everything where we can show an ad. Customer match is able to like leverage that particular marketing platform as well. We are obviously streamlining and simplifying our ingestion channels, enabling customers to upload and move their data seamlessly across multiple Google platforms. When uploading first party customer data, several more methods are available to you. Some methods, such as manual upload and API, require a little bit more technical knowledge and are considered a bit lengthy and complex. However, advertisers can obviously utilize existing conversion lists that have been added to their Google Ads account. These can be leveraged to build customer match audiences and enhance your campaign performance. Additionally, various external partners may also assist you in ingesting such custom first party data into Google Ads, making this process much more accessible and efficient for your usage. We recently introduced a new tab in Google Ads UI, in case you might have seen, called as the Google Ads Data Manager or the Data Manager, whatever you may call it. This tool allows you to link your first party data, such as all your customer match or enhanced conversions, to your Google Ads account. The beauty of this tool is that it streamlines the implementation process and addresses any sort of concerns expressed by advertisers in the past that we have received and incorporated as feedback. You no longer need to coordinate between like the marketing and data teams to link your first party data. All these steps are now independent here. The marketing team can create conversions or customize audiences at their convenience, while the data team can link your CRMs or first party data across various channels and partners independently. The order of these steps is flexible. You can link the data first and then create the conversions in customer match, or go the other way around, up to you. The Google Ads Data Manager also provides a comprehensive view of all the first party data that is linked to your account. You can easily navigate and understand which data sources are used for which features, whether it's conversions or customer match, and making any sort of changes or edits is also fairly straightforward. Additionally, the Google Ads Data Manager includes a step for consent audiences, ensuring that all data linked through the tool complies with all regulations and laws governing user consent across different regions. To understand how customer match works, let's just look a little bit deeper into the context. Like I mentioned, this is the stage where we'll be discussing about data hashing. On the local machine, customer data is hashed using the SHA-256 algorithm. And the key part here to remember is that all of this is done on the local machine itself, like I had mentioned before. And then only this hash data is securely sent to Google. We have no way to go back and see what exactly the detailed customer data was. Google does not have access to the actual email addresses that you store or any other customer data. All this data remains hashed at all times. When Google receives the data, we only use it for matching purposes to say that, okay, this hash matches this other hash, so this is likely the same user. Upon receiving this hash data, like I said, we cross-reference it with existing Google users, usually the signed-in users at this point. Specifically, what we do is we search for all Google users who we have on our database and attempt to match them with them. If a match is found, these matched users will be added to your customer match audience. If no match is found, we delete their hash and ensure that no data is available out there for any leaks or any issues in the future as well. Once the step is completed, which can take around up to 48 hours, the data is immediately deleted. Like I mentioned, we do not store any first party data. We simply examine it, categorize your users into audience lists, and then allow you to use these lists moving forward. No data is retained by Google at any point. In addition to all the common issues and FAQs that we've encountered, we have compiled a list of frequently asked questions that are specific to advertiser customer match. Again, you'll find a lot of information available online on our help pages as well, but these are some of the more common ones that we tend to hear. For example, to determine if your account is eligible for customer match, we have created an easy to follow step-by-step guide, which will be shared with you as well. This asks simple questions like how much you have spent and whether your account has been live for, let's say, around at least 90 days. This is just to ensure that we have enough data in order to be able to expand upon it and find other potential needs out there. Based on all your answers, step by step, the guide will indicate your eligibility status and provide you with next steps if you're eligible. Another common question we receive is about the size of the customer match lists. We won't be going into details of everything here, but we've provided you with various help and support articles. Of course, our support teams are always available to assist you if you have any questions or concerns. Definitely reach out to them or to our team to raise any issues or seek any further clarification. And with that, we are at the end of our presentation. I thank you all for coming. I hope you really enjoyed this session and hopefully you found this eye-opening and helpful, and have a great day. Thanks a bunch for everyone.